you ready, kids?
Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of your one-stop shop for Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast, consistently bricking. My name is John. I'll be hosting this event. Joining me today, we have Alex.
Hey, that's me.
We have Nicholas.
What's up?
And we have Christopher,
Hello, everybody.
also known as Joey. That's what we call him.
Don't get us started on two different names.
Yes.
Don't even get me started.
You really can't trust any of us.
Yes, I have two fucking names. Get over it.
All right. And today, I kind of just wanted to talk about our history with the game, kind of how we got into it, where we stand on it now, and let's just go around the let's go around the table. How about Joey? You start.
Let's see here. I started back with the anime when it was on either Cartoon Network or CW.
It was definitely on CW. It was on or no, wasn't it on the Fox box for a little while?
I didn't watch it on the
It
Fox
probably
box.
jumped around because
The
it
fuck is
canceled and came
CW?
back.
The CW 4Kids,
That's where 4
Channel
kids.
15.
I didn't watch anime.
It was also like the
He was a
it
good Christian child.
They had a little cartoon block where that's where they would
Saturday
show,
mornings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they had the Ninja Turtles on there for a little
Yep.
while, and
Shaolin Showdown.
But yeah, no, from like a young
Johnny
age,
Test for a little
from
bit.
like 5 to now.
Scooby-Doo.
There's always been Yu-Gi-Oh in the life, but you know, there's those times where my mom and dad were like, you know, you're gonna stop playing that eventually, and I went, no, I'm not. And I just kept playing. But as far as in the game now, I play it mainly with John on the weekdays.
Yeah, we played pretty regularly on Monday for a while.
Yep.
Monday was kind of our go-to.
Monday is still pretty good day to do stuff, but high school, me and Alex played a lot, and gym class.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the good days.
It was
Of
either
course, that's what you.
It was
were doing
either
in gym
Yu-Gi-Oh!
class.
or ping pong.
Yeah, those were our picks,
So literally any time that the ping pong tables weren't out, you were playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
basically.
Which was like
well,
half the time.
we played dodgeball a few times.
Yeah.
Played a few other activities, but mainly Yu-Gi-Oh! On the little like ticket stand booth.
I got a story about dodgeball whenever we're off the mic.
Why not? Fuck it. Just say it now. Say your piece.
Well, it involves somebody that we all know.
Okay, never mind then. You know, it's just the last 16 years has been Yu-Gi-Oh! In and out of the brain constantly.
How do you stand with the game now? Are you happy with the direction that it's moving and with the changes that have been made to the format?
With the addition of links, at first I was like, I don't like it, but I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit, even though I don't play them as much. I understand the...
Well, I think that when they were introduced, pretty much everybody, all of the old players at the very least, were very adversarial to the idea at the start of...
They changed the entire game map.
Yeah, no.
They added extra zones where all your extra shit has to go there, and then it eliminates that entire monster area.
I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here.
I don't know. No one's ever happy with the changes in the game, but I mean, it's pretty much happened with almost every step, and people have come around to it. And ultimately, people gripe and complain, but they're still playing the game, so something about it's right.
Well,
Well,
changing the game field in of itself is nothing... It wasn't anything new whenever the links hit the scene, whenever they were introduced, because Pendulums had changed the field just before that. And like Nick said, there have always been new summoning conditions that are introduced that... I think Synchros was the last one that was like really well received.
Mm-hmm.
Contact fusions were well received upon startup, just because I can still fusion summon and I don't need polymerization right now. We didn't have any really good contact fusion. Glad Beasts, I guess.
what's a contact fusion?
A fusion where you don't use polymerization.
Oh.
Don't worry, Alex. We'll get to you and your stand on this game.
And I mean, Chimeratech Overdragon is still a really solid card.
Yeah, Lynx was like the first one that just... the other ones you'd kind of ignore in a lot of the ways, and like you'd warm up to them over time. Lynx, if you're anyone who plays any extra deck, which for me it was a little easier because I barely play any extra deck or forget it's there, but you had to get on board with them. So it was just a rougher start, I think, for it, because everyone was like upset because they had to do it all of a sudden.
Well, I think that they had a rough start to begin with, just because the structure deck that introduced them was total shit.
There was like one good card.
Yeah, and it was Decode.
Yeah, I was pissed when I bought that thing.
But, you know, now that we've had them for almost 2 years now, I think.
Gee, it's been that fuck.
Yeah, it's been a while. You know, we have a lot of really solid Link monsters and a lot that people like to use. Namely, I would say the Nightmares.
Those were popular.
Nightmares are super popular, and they're just really, really solid cards.
Yeah, they're in a lot of the meta decks right now. Like, even decks that have, like, nothing to do with them, they're some part of their chain.
But, I mean, the Bomber Dragons that have come out have been fantastic. My personal favorite is Topologic, but that's just because that's the one that I pulled out of a pack.
What, Boral Sword is the new...
Boral Sword... When I got hit on the ban list, I was actually a little bit upset because I was thinking about buying it. Not that we play competitively or well, I mean, we play competitively with each other, but we don't go.
We're not meta.
Yeah, we're not event players for the most part. I'd like to go to a regional.
I would too. I wish I was still around here to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
You wanna?
Yeah. Sorry, we get sidetracked.
I barely know what a Link monster is.
It's blue, and not a ritual.
You had me, you lost me.
Nick, let's talk about your history with the game. When did you get started?
I think my history with the game is the most different of us because I had some of the cards as a child. I remember very few memories of sort of playing the game, but ultimately did not play it at all or do anything with it. And then I think I was working one day and I was looking at some Magic cards and I texted you guys. I was like, hey, if I get some Magic cards you guys want to play? And you're like, fuck no, play some Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. And I walked around the little thing and I was like, oh, this shit's weird.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't. That had nothing to do with it. It was that you played the Pokemon TCG.
Very little.
I was gonna say I didn't know you played Pokemon.
Mostly online. I do have a deck. I play it a little bit, and I collected the cards more so.
But I do remember you asking us if we would play the Pokemon trading card game with you, and that's what we told you no about.
Yeah, well...
Then you brought up Magic the Gathering, and... because it was new to all of us at that point, and you had said, you know, well, why don't we all get invested in this at the same time? And I think it was mostly me and Joey who kind of shot it down. Alex, I think you were kind of a part of this too, was that we just didn't want to spend any more money on and invest in a trading card game. Not that it matters now because almost all of us play Magic.
But no, that makes sense. Sorry, you can go.
We were also really fucking broke.
Yeah.
Well,
we barely had jobs as it is.
Yeah, none of us...
has much really changed.
You know.
A little.
At this point, we're kind of starting to get better money so we can better invest in our card games because we blew a bunch of money the other day on cards.
Yeah, that's the only time I've bought cards since I've been home.
Anyway, continue.
But no, that makes sense. Like I didn't know much that you guys were into Yu-Gi-Oh so much, but when you said that and I'm like, oh, they're already invested in this game, it was like, well, the easiest way would be for me to invest in this game, and then I have people that already play it, that know the game. Like, it just made it easier. And then I got it, and John spent long, painful hours teaching me how to play it, and it was rough. It was not an easy time, but it was a lot of fun, and I have so many good memories of just learning how to play the game, and, like, my little shitty deck slowly becoming less shitty, and then I pretty much just trashed that thing and, like, got new decks. But... That was like, I was like 16 or so. That was 4 years ago, maybe.
I think that we were in our junior year of high school.
Yeah.
So
that sounds.
You would have been 17. I would have been 16.
Okay. Yeah. So about 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah, and you would have been working at Toys R Us getting that sweet discount.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I saw them and picked them up.
That's where I got all those fucking cards.
Yeah. And I've been playing ever since. Well, off and on when I can. When I come home, specifically.
Yeah. I do. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily painful for me.
For me.
I was very impressed with your grasp of the game and just how quickly you were able to take things in. I think a lot of it was that you kind of researched.
Yeah, that's...
After you left my house the first day that I was teaching you how to play, you went on YouTube and fucking watched everything that you could.
Yeah, that was like, and that's how it is for me. Like, if I try to tell someone, like, oh, you should play Yu-Gi-Oh, and they're like, you know, they're not really into it or something, and it's like, well, it's a little hard to learn.
It's
a
lot to take in.
And if you're not really into it, like I was into it because I wanted to play a card game like that, and then you got me really into it because it was really fun playing the game. And I hate not knowing things or understanding things. So if you can get someone who wants to learn, teach them some, it helps, but they have to go home
and do their homework.
Yeah, they have to. That's how I learned. Like, that's how I learned how to play from John. I learned how everything works from the internet. Because, like, John, you can only do so much to teach someone. Like,
we still have to look up card rulings
all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah.
This game is so much more complex than Magic at some points.
Yeah, I think it was recently, John, you finally learned, like, how to miss timing, like how that works. And I think, I don't know if we did it when I was home last time, but this time I came home, I've noticed you doing that a lot. And I finally went home and I was like, the fuck is this? The fuck is this shit? And I looked it up and I was like, oh my god, this is so complicated. And I didn't even know it was in the fucking game. Are you kidding me?
I don't even know what they're talking
It's
about.
really... it's kind of easy once you understand it, but it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like,
It's very finicky with the execution. You have to be absolutely dead on with your execution. Like, there are ways that you can make Mystical Space Typhoon the most powerful card in your deck.
Yeah, you just play it on the first turn on a card you don't know what it is.
Nope.
No. Timing is kind of similar to Priority in Magic, which is a whole fuckload of shit I don't even want to get into because I don't even understand it.
Is it like chaining effects?
Kind of. Timing, the point of timing...
That's enough for me to get the idea of it, really.
Basically all you're doing is a card says this happens, which makes this happen. You're making something happen in between, which disrupts that, so the other thing doesn't happen. That's like a simplest way to do it.
Like making someone use the cost of their card.
Yeah.
Yes.
But not the effect.
Yeah, that happened the other day when I was playing Light Swarm.
Doing it to yourself.
Well, Mystical Space Typhoon does not negate. Same thing with Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, all those removal cards. They don't say that they negate an effect on the card text. So even if you destroy the card, your opponent can still get the effect of that card off if you didn't do it at the right time. But if you cause that card to miss its timing, then that effect fizzles on the board because it can't activate because that card has to be on board in order for that effect to happen. So if you remove it before that effect happens, it misses its timing and its effect cannot activate. So it doesn't negate, it just stops the effect outright.
Uh-huh.
Do you understand?
Sort of.
It would need a lot of examples, and even then, like...
It's a lot.
It's still, like John said, it's finicky. So every time you do it, you're probably going to argue about it or have to look it up or something.
For sure. It's something that, like, requires a judge's input.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Alex, let's talk about your history with the game. When did you start?
So I was pretty young. My brother, who is 4 years older than me, watched the show. And so I also watched the show because I was in the same room. I'm like, oh, this is cool looking. And I got
all these guys with big hair.
Yeah. And then I got the cards he didn't want. And he, like, built me a crappy deck. And we played with 4,000 life points.
And you were just playing with that? Yeah, you were just playing that deck today.
No, I eventually, like, bought cards. Like, maybe...
one pack.
Every, like, 2 or 3 months or so. And I watched, like, when it was convenient up to, like, the middle-ish of GX from Battle City.
I'm still in fucking Battle City.
Yeah, you're going to be there a minute.
Yep.
It's a long arc.
And,
goes into season 3.
Yeah, in high school, like, Synchros came out, and I was like, I don't get it. I got a tin with a Stardust Dragon, and I was like, I still don't... Like, I understood the ruling, but I was like, how is this effect that helpful? Because then you have to have these kind of monsters mixed with these kind of monsters, and they're not the cards I like to play. So, like, I had one in my deck, but I didn't use it. And then, like, Xyz, the same thing. I'm like, okay, why not? I think I had a few low-level ones, and their material didn't really do anything. And I just kind of got out of it for a while. And, you guys got me back into it. I'm like, what the hell's a pendulum? It's a monster and a spell? That seems like shenanigans. That seems like Duelist Kingdom level shenanigans.
At least links are only one thing.
Yeah, links, they seem simpler, at least the one I have in my deck now.
Links are the most narrow-minded thing possible, because they don't even have defense. You can't put them in defense mode. They go on the field, and they sit there in that position, and they don't move.
Yep. So, like, 2 years ago or so, we would play a lot, and I'm keep using my cards that's, like, a little bit of GX cards, and mostly cards from before that time. You guys are, like, penduluming out, like, 5 things. I'm like, this game isn't as fun as it used to be.
John is penduluming out. I don't think anyone
John
else
only
is.
plays fucking odd eyes.
Fucking hate pendulums.
I am exclusively the pendulum player of the group.
And then...
I think I might have the most adaptability to the game out of the 4 of
Quite
us.
possibly.
I mean, I would say I have a decent adaptability. I can pick up a deck, look at the cards, play like a game or two, and go, okay, I kind of understand how this goes, and I can make a couple good plays.
My adaptability is lower than yours. But then last week, we went out and got me some newer cards to go with the Red Eyes cards I already had. And I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And like you told me about like good or better deck building like ideas rather than just like, I'm gonna throw together 60 good cards. And, you know, these ones will help me get out. These bad ones will, like, go away quickly, and then I can get out my good ones. And you're like, no, that's not how you do it, you idiot. And, I'm enjoying it more now than I have in quite a while.
Well,
That's good.
It's a matter of actually having something that's playable and that's competitive. If you can't compete with any of us, of course you're not going to enjoy playing.
That's how I felt for a while whenever I was running Dark Magicians at a low-end tier, and I just kept getting my ass beat by Nick and John. I was like, all right, I'm not really having that much fun anymore.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but I felt a little awkward when I joined the Yu-Gi-Oh group, because it seemed like all of a sudden I came in, and John taught me how to play, and so I just started trying to make the best deck possible, and then every time I could beat John, he's like, oh, fuck this, and he makes his deck better, and better, and we slowly started creeping towards meta. I don't think we ever hit meta, but we were creeping towards it, and it upped the competition in the group, and, like, only those couple decks could really play, or we had to play other decks.
You and I definitely are the most competitive with each other, for sure.
Yeah.
The great deck arms race of 17.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Nick and I are in a constant Cold War.
And you just fucking took back the lead with that fucking odd eyes.
It's
took
so
Monarchs
gross.
the other day.
It's still not good.
Shut the fuck up!
I want to play it again. I've made a few renditions.
Do you have your cards on you? We can play later.
We can play later.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, just, sorry to cut away from that.
That's all right.
For the longest time, I was just like, I like dragons, so I'll use dragons. So I had like a red eyes, 3 blue eyes, a tyrant dragon, a white knight dragon in my deck, fodder that was fairly easy to switch out. Marshmallow, yes.
Time Wizard.
Basically sounds like my first deck.
Yeah, slow, stall, a little bit of burn.
Obelisk.
And, you know, the God card's the best card in the entire game. You gotta play it. Which I know is a joke, but at the same time, like...
Maybe in your deck.
It's okay sometimes.
For the longest time, Alex's exclusive win condition was stall to Obelisk.
Yep.
And you know what? It works sometimes.
It kind of did. Every now and then it would work.
No one wanted to attack his face downs. No,
it's
never.
always going to
Because
be...
everyone's scared of traps right now.
Always Marshmallow or fucking Spirit Reaper.
Sometimes
Those are the
it was
two I
Man-Eater
remember.
Bug. Sometimes it was Stealth Bird. There were some good ones.
I was always afraid of Penguin Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Penguin Soldier won me some duels.
Oh, God.
Is that the shuffler or the flip face down?
It
Shuffler.
puts 2 cards back in your hand.
Shuffle.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It bounces whatever monster back to your hand. Hane is the one that puts it back in your deck, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, now I'm playing with Red Eyes, only modern.
Semi-modern.
I mean, that thing was from like 2 years ago that we bought you, but
modern for me.
Yeah,
It's-
more modern.
It's
better
the
than what he's
most
had.
But you know what?
that it can be.
I
The most
kind of
modern
miss
Red Eyes.
throwing together a bunch of stuff that didn't go together that stalled for a win condition.
That
Having
was
a bunch
all
of
of our high
tries.
school decks.
That's when you make another deck.
I might have
As
to.
you've seen all the decks that
You know, I
John and
kinda-
I
That's
own.
that's not entirely true because I think that your deck in high school was incredibly aggressive.
It was,
I
Hit-
will.
but it was also a giant mismatch.
Is this your Forsaken Dragon deck?
No,
Oh.
no, I really enjoyed that dragon deck, but the main deck was the better one. I had a lot of plays that I could go into, but it had like 3 or 4
I
different
forget, what-
fucking variants.
What were you
in it.
playing? Was it Dark Magicians?
No, it was a mismatch.
Yeah,
I had, I had
he
Shinzo. I had a pirate.
I remember
fire
that
cards.
deck. Fuck Jinzo.
Yeah, I played a bunch of shit. I played one Cyber Dragon just so I could play one fusion monster that dealt damage on board every turn.
Nice.
I played so many traps back then.
I did so many traps.
I missed traps.
I had 3-dimensional prisons, bottomless trap hole, mirror force,
Still got that.
Sakaratsu armor.
Sakuratsu armor. I played Marshmallow Still, and Marshmallow Glasses,
Oof.
but no one
Card I
uses
was
that.
jealous of.
That was honestly probably a bad pick, but yeah, no, that deck it was real aggressive, but it was I would like to say it was pretty consistent.
I remember that was when I first started playing. You and John were the you know my Goliaths, I guess,
Mhm.
kind of. That deck. I remember Jinzo. Like that's the thing I remember about that deck, and that fucked me up.
Everyone was scared to attack into me because I always had Dimensional Prison.
John always got me with that fiendish chain too.
Oh, I fucking love Fiendish Chain back then. It was good.
I got hit with that so many
Love my
times.
Penguin Soldier and my Marshmallow.
But
yeah, we were really bad at this game.
I mean,
Mine
for
was
what
a
we were
mishmash plus 3 blue eyes and an ultimate and Dragon's Mirror or polymerization.
But for what we were playing, it was pretty good. Like we were low level. We didn't we understood how the game worked. We just didn't want to buy new cards because we were broke.
Yeah.
We worked with what we had with.
Yeah, I'd say a
Worked
lot of
with
it.
what we had.
Like
We're
maybe it's. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like skill was lacking some, of course, but I think our skill was pretty good. Like Joey said, for what we had, it was the thing holding us back. Especially was just
Money.
we couldn't get newer, better cards. Like
No, I was the best duelist.
Hashtag pay to win.
I was
I wouldn't say
the
that.
best duelist ever.
But John.
We were getting way off.
Yeah.
topic.
Hey, that's
Alex,
the point of this. We're talking about the game.
Alex, how do you stand with the game now? Are you happy with the changes that have been made to it? How do you feel about pendulums? How do you feel about links? How do you feel about Xyz monsters? If we're going that far back.
Xyz,
For Alex, we might need to.
yeah. Xyz feel pretty similar to fusing a monster to me. But like the synchros and the pendulums seem like weird and unnecessary and just like add more complexity than was needed in this game.
I would actually argue that making a synchro play is closer to a fusion summon than an Xyz play.
It might be. It's been a long time since I've looked at a synchro monster.
They're both about as similar to a fusion as each other, I'd say. Like they're different in some ways, but they're both as just putting 2-3 monsters together to make another monster. Like
Yeah. The pendulums acting as spells on like the back row, and like you can summon between these levels, and just like how quickly you get out a bunch of monsters with like really strong effects, and like the game's so much faster. I was like, I like to sit down and play a game of 4,000 life points where it still takes a while.
Or just play a 3-way that takes 45 fucking minutes.
That's also a good time. My stalling decks were really good in more than 2 people duels.
yeah, because no one's gonna fight through your fucking stall deck while
They're gonna
there are
whittle
more
each
imminent
other.
threats. So then we kill each other, and one dude's left with like 500 attack, and you're like
Obelisk!
stomping ground.
Yeah, you two just wear each other down, and by that time I'll have gotten to my win condition, which was like
Which was wait.
5-headed dragon, blue eyes, ultimate, obelisk.
That
Okay.
are all torn to shreds, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you
I
did
didn't
not
keep
take
my
good
cards.
care.
I did not take good care of my cards until like,
Now.
yeah, basically.
I was gonna say, do you now? You got sleeves now.
Yes,
like
yes,
proper.
yeah, he's got sleeves.
Sleeves.
Close enough.
They're magic sleeves, but they're sleeves.
It's hard to find Yu-Gi-Oh specific sleeves
Yeah,
in the
buy
store.
them
Kind of,
online.
yeah.
Yeah, you
online.
gotta buy
I should have.
online.
Fuck. I
Or
was
at
gonna bring you
shops.
some. I have some extra ones.
But John,
Yeah.
tell us your history of
I
the game.
suppose it is my turn.
Yeah, please tell us about your history of the
It's
game.
your move.
So I have very, very vivid memories of first and second grade, me going to school and laying every single Yu-Gi-Oh card that I owned out on these big round tables that I had in my preschool. Like, my parents worked, so I would go to the preschool area after classes let out and wait for my parents to get off work. That was kind of like their sitting area. And I would take up all 3 tables that were in there and lay out all of my cards around the table and just look at them all. And I'd bring cards to school with me every single day. And there were 2 older kids that also, had to sit and wait for their parents. But their parents, they complained enough, so their parents bought them structure decks. So I lost often. But I was in a lunchroom, and they would talk to me, and I'd be like, well, pick out your best 8 cards, because that's all I had on me. It was just 8, and play around and lose immediately because I thought I was hot shit because I had 2 pieces of Exodia and a Burst Stream of Destruction.
8 cards. What's that one pack that you lost to one of the cards?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, back then it was 9.
Well,
It's still 9.
I'm not sure.
Packs are
a lot-
9. There's some that are 5.
A lot of them are 5 now.
Yeah, those are like special packs. Standard packs are still 9.
I'm not honestly
Whatever.
sure.
Anyway.
I don't really buy packs anymore, to be honest with you.
It's like $1 a card.
But
No.
they're
Yes.
they're $4.39.
Oh. What?
Well, the 5 card packs come with all the like star shiny things.
Yeah,
like
they're all rares.
They're all rares,
And
but
those
they're
ones
just
are
shitty
like
cards.
those ones are like $1 a pack.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're trash.
That was hot shit back in the day. We'd go over to the Target and be like, fuck yeah, let's buy half of the 99-cent packs.
Yeah, we did all the fucking time. Those and the 25 plus 1 rare card packs. Where it was like extra inventory packaged.
Yeah, that is exactly how I got all of my Melodious cards, was buying 99-cent packs.
There you go.
Most of my cards.
But yeah, so my sister also had cards, my older sister, and she,
A girl playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
well, she didn't like it. She didn't play it. It was just shit people had given her. And she kept them all in this basket. And one day she just gave them all to me. You have something to say?
I have a similar situation to that.
Okay.
My sister also did that. For some reason, she collected the cards, and they just sat in a basket up in the living room in the corner. And for whatever fucking reason, one of her birthdays, she got cards. And I was real young, and I just got so upset. I don't know why. I went on the corner, and I just cried. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't get Yu-Gi-Oh cards!
Are you sure this wasn't last week?
Yeah, it was definitely last week. But, eventually, like...
Oh, yeah, dude, Christmas in July. It's a real thing.
Yeah, so it's like eventually as like time went over, it's like I kept playing the game, but she was like, I don't ever use these. Have them. So I had like the same situation as you. I got a fucking basket full of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I was like, ah!
Yeah. And I had a fucking field day with it. I made my first, I didn't even make a 40 card deck at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when my family moved out to this area, not even so much right after we moved. Like, I would play by myself and actually make, like, 40 card decks, and they were all bad.
Mm-hmm. I
And,
remember those days.
but when you and I first met, we did not get along.
No, we fought.
Did Joey get along with anyone he
No,
first
Not
met?
really, no.
He creeped me out.
Yeah, high school was weird.
We got into a fist fight at basketball.
Yeah, we did. He beat my ass.
and I was like a quarter of his size.
You still are.
I don't know. I'm almost laughing more at the thought of just the 2 of you at basketball.
There was like a season where I played basketball too as a small child.
We played the end. like closest to the hoop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The end.
Yeah, because I was tall, so I could rebound.
End guards, what are they called?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Big men, the ones under the hoop.
Is that the big man down low that I've heard of?
We're getting off topic.
But yeah, but after you and I had our little fist fight bout, you and I started getting along at basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and then we didn't even discover that we had a shared interest in Yu-Gi-Oh at that point. It was Bakugan. Is how we became
fucking
friends.
Bakugan. That was a fucking game.
Dude, I sold you all my Bakugan.
Yes, you did.
Well,
and I
that
bought
I
them
got
like a
from-
dumbass.
Remind me what the hell a Bakugan is.
It was
'cause
the
sounds
little
familiar.
metal cards, and you threw a little ball at them, and they popped up.
Yeah, they had a magnet on the bottom, and their creatures would like pop up. So you would play field cards, and that was your like.
And they
game
had like
map.
little point things on them, so like the higher Bakugan point won.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It was an interesting game. I think it
I
still
don't
goes on.
think I could play it now.
No,
I
fuck no.
I never played. I had it because I thought the toys were cool, and I convinced a bunch of kids at school to keep giving them to me. And I remember I had a stack of the cards and a bunch of toys, and I was like, "This shit's dumb. Hey John, you want these? Like $10 or something." And then they were gone.
But yeah, so you and I had a shared interest in Bakugan.
Mm-hmm.
I came over to your house, and I think you were just playing like the Yu-Gi-Oh movie on your CRT.
Probably.
And then
Sounds like Joey.
For a really long time, that was my favorite fucking movie.
and then you and I just
Still
watched
is.
it. You and I just watched it together
Yeah.
for a little bit, and
Hey.
we were like, "Hey, do you want to play this game?"
Don't
And
say if I were you. What you would do if you were in my shoes.
Oh god, the fucking soundtrack of that
'Cause you're
movie
not
is so
me.
fucking good. I love it.
That's the definition of early 2000s cock rock.
I've still never seen it.
Oh, we need to change that.
we don't. You're
Yes,
not
we do.
missing much.
I enjoy it. It brings me great nostalgia.
Isn't it technically after the Battle City arc?
But it
Like-
came out in the
like-
middle.
Yeah,
so it was
like
a big spoiler.
yeah.
I'm sorry, go on.
And but yeah, after that, you and I started playing together.
Mm-hmm.
From middle school pretty much into high school.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a falling out with it right after Synchros. I
Just
didn't
understandable.
I didn't really play much after that. I didn't, I wasn't watching the show anymore. I had just outgrown it, and I didn't play at all during the Xyz era. Like from start to finish, I just did not play this game at all. And after Pendulums came out, I bought, on a whim, I just bought the first structure deck, Master Pendulum, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Whatever the DDD ones aren't, that's the one I bought. It was Performables, Magician Pendulums, and Odd Eyes cards. And I have not put that deck down since I bought that structure deck. I just refuse.
And it's fucking gross.
I should just be playing Pendulum Magicians, but I have the deck for it. I just haven't put one together.
He likes the dragons too much.
I do. I really do.
They synergize really well together.
And that's pretty much where I'm at in the game now. I think the Pendulum format didn't really affect anything much until after Pendulums became meta, because for a very long time just nobody played them.
Yeah, no one wanted to play them. Like,
Well, it was the same situation with Lynx, where just all of the decks were bad.
yeah,
It was like 1 or 2 or maybe 4 links out there at the start, and it was like, this is fucking shit.
I think it
wanna
was
play it.
3. The first
It was
3
the
that
structure deck, right?
were go ahead.
I was going to say, quit touching the table.
Oh, okay. The first 3 that came out in that structure deck
It was
were
Deco-
Lynx Spider,
Deco
Honeybot, and Deco
Deco
Talker. But it was just a situation where all of the decks were bad, and nobody really wanted to play them. And then after Pendulum Magicians started getting their support, and then they all got reprints in Pendulum Evolution, and they were just so widely accessible that people really started kind of taking a look at it. Because all the sets in the game were Pendulums. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of forced people to take a look at it, and once they realized what kind of disgusting shit they could do with Pendulum Magicians, these people fucking went off. And then after that, you know, True Draco players and Cleafort players, you know, all these decks that can put just obnoxious shit on boards so quickly just started rise right after Zodiacs is when Pendulum Magicians really kind of took off. And you know, and after that point where pendulums were kind of good is really when I started getting back into things. And now I completely forgot what the fuck I was talking about. But you know, I think whenever they were first introduced, they weren't necessarily healthy for the game. I think that links as a concept are fairly healthy for the game. I think that they definitely had a rough start, and so far they've had a bit of a poor execution.
I
think when they first launched, a lot of people thought they were using them just slowed down the game. But as the link...
Well, that was what they were intended for.
Yeah, but as the links evolved, they actually still really quick. Because you can just link spam everything.
Oh, yeah.
Anything, it's sped it up.
Yeah, and then you just like keep getting links out on the field and you just use up the entire board to fill up monsters, and it's just a wave of carnage.
Links were like... So, Zoo format was the worst. That is what killed my golden days of Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd say. Because it was what was going on right before I went to boot camp. And when I was like actually getting into the meta and like watching some of the tournaments, and I was like, oh my god, fuck this shit. It is the only thing anyone played. I got so sick of it. And I went to boot camp, and I came back from boot camp, and I looked at the ban list, and I was like, oh my god, they killed Zoo. Thank Christ. But Links are now making every deck like the Zodiac deck, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I hated Zoo because it was the only thing people played. I didn't hate how it played or anything. And Links are kind of like doing that where, like, your first turn, if you get the right cards, it could be like a 20-minute turn of just going off with your combos, and Links allow that so much. You run through like half your extra deck with a lot of the meta today because it's just link to this, pull back some of that stuff, exist to this, link to that, and you end with like 3 things linked together, and then it's a really strong board.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but I'm still having a hard time figuring it out because I don't want to just copy the meta. And so I think links are very difficult for me, just figuring out how to fit them together, kind of, like without just copying someone else's thing or just taking a few keys, I guess. And like, I'm still trying to get past this link card's so good, but it has 1900 attack. How's that good? It can't even go to defense mode. Isn't that leaving me open for a bunch of damage? But somehow it's good. And I'm still working through that.
Well, it's really good because of A, the effect that is printed on it, and B, the fact that you can just link it away.
Yeah, you just dump them and stuff. Yeah, and I've just... the extent of my extra deck is, like, that I've ever played with or anything. Heroes, I used it a lot. And Dragons, I've used it a little bit. But ultimately, I don't use the extra deck much because I never built one a whole lot. Just because I didn't have the money or the cards to put into the extra deck. And so I still play Dragons and forget I have half the stuff in my extra deck, and I'll have like 3 blue eyes or like 3 or 4 of something, and I'm like, damn, I should have brought out Harbinger like 4 turns ago or something. Like, I just forget it's there. And so like, I really have to learn how to use the extra deck like properly before links, and then I can start learning links, and like, I think it'll be easier on me. And I just still haven't done that. That's my problem with links right now.
What time are we at?
40.
40 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd say that's pretty decent for the first one.
Yeah, you know.
We had to introduce everyone.
We got sidetracked a lot. We got to talk about the game a lot. We talked about us. I think that's important.
I will add one more thing onto what you were saying. I think right after Zodiacs got hit so bad on the ban list is when we got our super diverse meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've had some of the most diverse metas in the game that we have had since Teledad format, and it is fucking wonderful. It's great health for the game just because people feel like they have options of what they can play. It's not like it was back in GOATS where everybody thought that they had to play very specific cards because those were just the ones that were good. That was the whole reason of the creation of the limited list, and then later the ban list, and after a certain point we kind of got back into this slog where everybody was just playing the same thing. So Konami really has been shining recently with just how diverse they've been keeping this game and how relevant the meta has actually been, because I believe at the time of this recording, the meta right now is still Thunder Dragons, Trickstars, Gokis, Pendulum Magicians.
Sky Striker's huge.
Sky Strikers.
Salamangreat is number
Ultra
1.
Guys.
Danger is number 2.
Oh, see,
Orcrist is number 3. Sky Strikers are 4. Cyber Dragons are still meta.
and you know what's whack
At
about
eight.
that?
That's another thing too, is that Cyber Dragons is a deck that came out in 2006 that is now in 2019 just now being meta relevant 13 years later.
I'm into it.
Or not just now being meta relevant, because
It's
Cyber
coming
Dragons
back.
is what killed GOATs.
Yeah. But the crazy thing about that is I looked at that, I think, yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, and it was like Salamangreat, Sky Striker, Thunder, Danger, Orcus. Like, that's a different order already. Like, that's just how commonly different decks are coming up on top of the tournaments, and it's really cool just to, like, you never know. It's not like you're going to watch a tournament, it's like, well, I don't know these people, so I'm going to root for a deck. Well, I better root for Zeus because they're going to win. You don't know who's going to win. Like, it's actually, like, interesting to root for something or just to see what happens. Like, you're not just going to get the same old mirror match end of the tournament.
Yeah. That's when everybody sides in their Solemn Strikes and Ghost Reapers with Winter Cherries.
Yeah.
Is that the name of that card? I don't know. I've only ever called it Ghost Reaper.
I think it is.
All right, well, I do believe that we are going to call this one an episode. Thanks so much for listening with us today and talking about things that we find important that aren't that important. I know that there's a lot going on in the world today, so thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen to us ramble for 40 minutes.
Before we go, Joey, can you say baby dragon in that way that you do?
Yeah, baby dragon!
All right, we can end now.